Your turn to ban. 5 seconds remaining.
So guys, Andrew's just gone on a new live stream with Tristan. If you want to join the real, we'll have a link in the description.
This is going to be an unpleasant experience for most of you, because it is my intention to scream at all of you the same way a school teacher screams at a stupid child, or a father screams at a boy who intends to get the absolute best from him, but he knows his son's a bit of a lazy retard. That's what I intend to do on this podcast. It's not going to be pleasant, it's not going to be happy, it's not going to be fun. I'm going to sit here and tell you all the truth about yourselves, and the smart ones of you will feel terrible enough to do something about it, and the rest of you are lost.
So before you shout at everybody, I actually collected a very interesting list of questions. And this one...
I'm going to shout at everyone, though, because genuinely, I keep getting asked the same questions on repeat over and over again by the peasants and peons of the population, and I'm tired of it. So I'm going to once and for all spend a considerable amount of time yelling at people so they understand the truth of the world. And if they do something about it, then they deserve their life of eternal riches. And if they don't do anything about it, then they deserve their life of eternal poverty. So that's what I'm going to do on this podcast. I'm answering the questions once and for all. I'm going to scream at everyone.
Wonderful. Well, we've got one notable super chat. It's actually from Sneeko, but he says, how can we use free speech for good without risking the warfare of martyrdom? Nigga, I don't know. Without risking martyrdom and warfare? You're asking the wrong people. Have you got any clue how to talk without risking going through what we've gone through? It's almost like we're the wrong people to ask that question.
There's no such thing as avoiding war, my friend. There's no such thing as avoiding... When you tell the truth, there's... Wait. Bitches are calling me. Sorry about that. There's no such thing as avoiding warfare. War is certain in life. War is certain, believe. It's coming for all of us, and you're either at war against the objectives that you're trying to complete and instill the slavery in your mind, or you're at war against yourself. Because if you believe the things they tell you, if you believe the things they want you to believe, then you're going to be depressed and sad and unhappy at war against your own mind. As soon as you get your own mind under control, you end up at war against them because you're a sovereign individual who believes in personal responsibility and strength. War cannot be avoided. As for martyrdom, well, at some point, someone has to leave from the front and be martyred. It's unfortunate reality. I feel like me and Tristan are doing that. But in the end, if you achieve the objectives and enough people follow you and you do good for the world, then perhaps in some ways it was worth it.
Right.
She keeps calling me.
Hang up.
Just leave me alone. I'm hanging up on every app. What the fucking calling me on fucking Signal?
Why do you have them open? I thought you were Mr. Producer. I thought you were going to be organized about this.
Bro, don't challenge my Mr. Producing. Don't make me put up the fucking thing. Exactly. Don't even step to me about Mr. Producing.
All right, so an email went out today. Do you want to discuss the contents of it?
Yeah, I'm gonna take my headphones off.
I think that's why you were gonna. That's what you were gonna start with.
Yes, I'm gonna start by yelling at everybody.
Okay.
But before we do that, let's keep it lighthearted, right? So first, how many people are watching us? How many people?
52,000.
Okay, cool. So first, I'm gonna explain why the DNG is here. We have the DNG on podcast with us. Wearing a DNG T-shirt. You can see it's homeless Matt Shea, who follows us around the world wearing the same clothes every single time, the same jacket.
Yeah.
And it says DNG on the front, and we have some DNG stuff on the back. Now, I know you're thinking, this explains what a DNG is. Disgraced news gatherer, deluded narrative generator, discredited news guardian, dork, nerd, geek. DNG. The DNG, Matt Shea. Now, I know you're sitting here going, well, who's going to buy that? Who wants to wear a t-shirt saying they're a DNG? But you don't understand the brilliance of it. The point of the DNG t-shirt is that you buy it for somebody else who is a DNG first. And secondly, every single time, get rid of Matt. Fuck you.
His arms fell off anyway.
Piss off with your documentary.
Matt has...
do another documentary. Yeah. Nobody cares, Matt.
He has no hands, and I think his arms falling off has just told the whole world that
he has no hands.
No hands.
You buy the DNG t-shirt from TopG.com not to wear to give to someone who's a DNG. And the brilliant thing about it is every single time someone buys a DNG t-shirt, Matt Shea gets an email to his personal email address letting him know that a DNG shirt has been purchased and someone is walking around in the world with a picture of him being homeless on a t-shirt. So if you want to troll Matt Shea, you can purchase DNG t-shirts on topg.com and he gets an email every single time. It's great.
You know what? I don't want to interject necessarily to defend him, but I do want to say he started the war with you, obviously.
He started it. Of course, I'm just winning.
He came into our house, sat here, and smiled in our faces, and disingenuously waited until he thought we were at rock bottom to release the mother of all hit pieces, which no one believed and no one liked. Now, he did start this fight, but Andrew, you've ended his career.
Tell me how I've ended his career.
He can't tweet anything ever or say anything anywhere without everyone telling him he's a DNG and asking him for chocolates. Everybody.
He is. He is a DNG.
No, I know, but Andrew, he's right now, apparently, because we've seen him, obviously, at our house begging for interviews and, like, at court begging for our attention, wearing the same old clothes. He's obviously working on some new film piece, and he thinks, oh, finally, I'm going to get Andrew Tate back with my new hit piece full of lies. But when he releases it, everyone's just going to call him a DNG and ask him for chocolates.
Are you telling me he's wasted the last 6 months of his life,
Yes.
the last money in his savings account, flying around the world, putting together some bullshit documentary for everyone to ignore and call him a DNG because I left him outside my gate?
After 48 hours of everyone calling him a DNG and asking for chocolates, he's going to go back into being irrelevant. Obscurity forever. Obscurity forever. So
it is kind of interesting because
you've ruined him.
I've ruined all of mainstream media. I've ruined all of these clowns because when I spoke to the DNG when he was outside, he said, well, actually, the BBC will only send me, the Batty Boy Club. He said, the Batty Boy Club only want to send me. And I said, I guarantee they'd probably send somebody else. And he challenged me on it. And I said, you're operating under a level of hubris and delusion. So I allowed Lucy to come, who I had to destroy. My best friend Lucy, who also spends her life following me around, my #1 fan. These people are my #1 fans. I can't go anywhere without them being there. Hi, Andrew. Can I have some attention? Nobody cares what you people think. So, anyway, Lucy's been begging me and begging me and begging me for a second interview. After begging me for 6 months for the first interview, I don't know if most people know this, she was begging me for an interview when I was in jail, telling me that she wants to get out my side of the story and tell the truth and what Romanian jail is like and about my mental health and all this stuff. And then when I sat down, she tried to sucker punch me and attack me because she's a fucking snake. And now she's begging me for a second interview and messaging me every single day because she got destroyed so badly in the first one. And then, yesterday, for the first time in a long time, I messaged her, and she didn't reply, which was weird. Do you know what I said to her?
Well, I'd actually really like to know. So, she worked for the BBC, and
She worked for the Batty Boy Club.
And you sent her a message. What could you have possibly messaged her about? I don't know. Why don't you tell our 53,000 viewers?
I said, how does it feel to work for an organization which is clearly covering up for sexual predators and trying to travel the world grilling others on morality when you work for an organization which is clearly filled with sexual criminals?
Yeah, so to get this straight and to put this into context for anybody who doesn't know, a BBC presenter, unnamed, you can cover this in a second about why he's unnamed.
Oh, yeah, he's unnamed. They don't want to say his name.
Unnamed. Was soliciting nude images for cash from someone who's 17 years of age. Now, I know what some people are going to say. Isn't a relationship with a 17-year-old legal? Yes, in many countries, including the United Kingdom, but the international standard for child pornography is 18. If you solicit images from anyone under the age of 18, whether you be in Korea, Colombia, UK, or the United States, it is child pornography. So this person, because people under 18 obviously can't make smart enough decisions, that's why they're not trusted with alcohol, that's why they're not trusted to vote, and that's why they're not trusted to send pictures of their dicks or pussies to people. But this BBC presenter paid £35,000 for child pornography, and he's unnamed. Why is he unnamed, Ed?
He's unnamed because they want to protect his name because they don't want to ruin his life in case he's found innocent. Because the BBC, the Batty Boy Club, would never take somebody's name and drag it through the mud for 15 months before they're convicted.
Because you're innocent before proven guilty.
Of course. So that's why I said to Lucy, like, how does it feel to work for an organization which is clearly covering up for people who commit sexual crimes and then flying around the world trying to grill others on morality? And for some reason, she didn't reply to me. Very interesting.
Well, she's been reaching out for Lucy. We're here.
Lucy,
we're ready to hear your opinion.
Lucy, you have another interview.
There's
Let me
a
ask
seat
you
right here.
Let me ask you about your work at the Batty Boy Club.
I've got a DNG t-shirt waiting for you, Lucy.
So, the mainstream media, I think everybody understands lies, but now we've reached a point where they're genuinely covering up for bad people doing heinous things. So anybody who genuinely believes in the mainstream media still at this point and repeats their narratives and think that they're being educated when they listen to this garbage, unfortunately is propping up an evil regime of sexual predators. It's no longer just a matter of being stupid or an NPC and being uninformed or misinformed. You're genuinely propping up sexual not deviance, because deviance can vary within the parameters of perhaps
Normal.
acceptable.
Yeah.
Degeneracy is the word.
Degeneracy is the word. And yeah, continue paying your TV license fee. There are people who need to send money to... Because they're definitely not going to jail.
Oh, completely. That's right.
not.
So keep paying your TV license fee so that people can commit sexual crimes, and then they can use your license fee to pay these people exorbitant sums of money. And they can also put Lucy on a flight to come here and try and grill me about morality while she wears a badge, which holds the name of the organization, which genuinely covers up for genuine sexual predators.
Pay up, losers, people of the UK. Pay up. Right. Right out, coward. Super chat here from Follow the Fish. What is happening on the 14th of July? Something about AI?
Correct. I'm going to yell at everybody.
Well, the 14th of July is the day before my birthday, so obviously...
Nobody cares. Right, so let's get to the point. This is the point I was going to actually yell at everyone about. And I want to yell at everyone for a good, prolonged period of time. I would like everybody at home
So
who
just
actually...
chill.
Just chill.
Cool.
Everybody at home who actually cares about their life and actually wants to become something that's important and matters. The next 10 minutes are going to be some of the most important minutes you're going to experience this year, perhaps in your life ever. I want you to pay a lot of attention. So I'm going to give you a few seconds. Put your glass of water down. Focus. Make sure you can hear me. Turn the volume up. Sit very fucking still. I keep getting asked various different concoctions of the same question. And what people are trying to do is find a way to escape the matrix, as they should be, and they are asking the correct person, me. Most people who are looking to escape the matrix understand that it is nearly impossible to do without finance. You need to have money. If you don't have money, then you're going to be stuck as a wagey or a brokey, and you're going to be beholden to the systems, which you could side skirt if you had enough money. That's true. There's actually a lot more to escaping the matrix, because you also need to build up your physical capabilities, and most importantly, you need to free your mind to the point where you can say the truth even to your own detriment, even if it ends up putting you in jail. But I digress. It is an important stage for you to make some money, correct? However, a lot of people have this dream, and the dream is how a lazy loser, which most of you are, 99% of you are lazy losers, imagines getting rich and imagines how they're going to become rich overall. So I want to make something clear to you. Anybody who's not rich in the world today is one of three things. You're either lazy, arrogant, or stupid. Most of you are not stupid. I would say less than 5% of people are too stupid to become rich. The majority of people are either too lazy to work the way they need to work, or too arrogant to believe they should work. And this is not just for people watching at home who have no money. This is also for people watching at home that have a little bit of money. If you do not have millions and millions of dollars, considering the period we just went through, where the matrix was completely cracked and broken, and the money printers were on full, and free money was being given out everywhere, and Bitcoin went up to the moon from nowhere, and all this money was just appearing on the fucking street. You could scoop it up off the side of the road. If you do not have millions of dollars at this point, you are either lazy, arrogant, or stupid. I meet a lot of business people, and I speak to a lot of businessmen. I speak to a lot of people, especially who have online companies, or I see on Twitter, etc. And most of them are so brutally arrogant. They think they're interesting. They think they have a brand. They think they matter. They brag about how they saw in a Starbucks once. But truthfully, they're broke nobodies. Nobody gives a shit about any of these people because they're so arrogant they're not prepared to do the work. None of you, or very few of you, are too stupid to become rich, but the majority of you are too lazy or too arrogant. What you're hoping is going to happen to you is the lazy person's dream of how you become monumentally wealthy. And that is as follows. You have this idea that if you come into something first, if you come in before everybody else, you can rape it with very little effort and you can become rich. And then by the time everybody else catches on to it, you'll already have heard about something else and you'll move on. And with very little effort, you will once again rape this gold mine that you found, this ecosystem. You'll destroy it, rip it apart, take all the money, and vanish without ever doing any work. That is not true. The reason that is never going to happen is because every single time any ecosystem, any gold mine, any salt mine, any fucking diamond mine, whatever, any pile of money is identified, groups of people are going to flock to it. And of course, there's a massive advantage of being early, but there are two types of people who are going to flock to this pool of wealth. There are the lazy losers who think, I'm in early, I can make easy money. And there are the professionals like me. I am a professional, and if I find a pool of money, and if my team find a pool of money, if HU or the War Room or any people who are associated to me find a pool of money, we do not operate under the guise of laziness like you clowns do. We don't turn up and go, this is easy money, I can make a little bit of money. I don't have to try very hard. We think if we were to try as hard as possible, we could take everything. We can put him out of business, and we can put him out of business, and we take all the money from him and him, and by the time everyone else heard of it, I've taken it all. Let's imagine it this way. There's a gold mine. We've discovered some gold in a river down over there, yonder way, past Wyoming. If you get over there, there's a gold rush. Go quickly. And you turn up, and you have a little shovel, and you dig for an hour a day, and you get a little bit of gold, and you're richer than you've ever been. And you have all those free hours you can just spend sitting around jerking off and being a fucking dork. I turn up with my team. I don't want to work an hour a day. I want to work 18-hour days. And I want to build cranes. And I want to have all of my staff on site. And I want to take the whole river and I want to build a dam and block it all off so not a single fucking piece of gold gets past me. And then I'm going to sieve every single piece of dirt. And we're going to bring in heavy machinery. And we're going to take all of it. And you are going to be sitting there with your shovel in one hand and your dick in the other, broke. Because you had a chance, but you were fucking lazy. And if I see a chance, the difference between you and me is that I don't believe in being lazy with anything ever. Let me give you an example. If you found out how to make $10,000 an hour, you would sit there and say, I only have to work an hour a week. Whereas I would say, at $10,000 an hour, I should only sleep 2 hours a night. I should make $220,000 a day. And that is what I would do. And that's why I perpetually win. So, the lazy loser's dream is that you can get in early on some garbage and not try very hard, and then you can make a whole ton of money, and then you can jump to the next thing once everybody else catches on. That's never going to happen. What can happen is you can get in early and work extremely hard and become extremely wealthy. And the fantastic thing about this is you only have to pull this off once. One time is all it takes. If you could just dedicate yourself to something for once in your fucking life, put the porn down, get your dick out your hand, and focus for once in your life, for one period, you could be rich forever. All you have to do is not be a lazy loser. So a lot of people message me going, hey, yeah, I want to get in early before the other people are in, blah, blah, blah. Listen, there's no point getting in early if you're lazy, because I'll come along after you and destroy you. Do you understand? It's not just about getting in early. It's also about doing the work.
So, what is happening on July 14th?
I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
And getting in early to what?
I'm getting there. So,
okay.
I'm going to talk about all the times I predicted the future. Anybody who's been following me long enough throughout all my reincarnations on Twitter has seen me. I bought $300,000 of Bitcoin when it crashed all the way down to $3,000. They've seen me be the first when I talked about DeFi. I was in cake at pennies. It went all the way up to $18 or something ridiculous. We made like $20-30 million off that. We've called Bitcoin, we've called DeFi, we've called so many things in advance and told people you can make untold amounts of money if you just get in and work hard. We've been doing it with Hustle University and War Room for years. And what annoys me is when I tell people, don't you wish you were in early on Bitcoin? They say, yeah, man, yeah, you know, if only I knew. But the worst thing is they didn't know. They heard whispers. They heard the name Bitcoin here and there. They didn't take it seriously. They didn't research it. Or even if they did, they looked at it and goes, maybe I'll put in a little bit of money. They didn't get a second job to get more money to buy more Bitcoin. They didn't try. They heard about it. They thought maybe I could get in on it, maybe. They heard some whispers and didn't research. They took their lazy ass and got a lazy shovel down the river, fucked around with a little bit of sand, made a tiny little bit of gold, and gave up. They didn't attack it properly and ruthlessly, and that's why you did not make generational wealth off of your chance. You fucked it up. There's something else happening right now, and it annoys me because everybody knows what I'm about to say. I'm going to say AI. You have already heard about AI. You've already seen on Twitter AI. You know people are talking about AI. You know AI is here to stay. They're not going to wake up tomorrow and decide to not use AI anymore or just turn it off. It's here forever. If you get in early and you work hard, you can use AI to become something that matters and stop being a piece of shit loser. But despite all of this, despite the fact that you hear about AI, you know it's going to take over the world, you know you're no longer going to be competitive without it, you are still so brutally lazy and arrogant that you're either A, one, not using it at all, or two, if you're using it in some amateur, lazy, bullshit way.
Like flirting with ChatGPT and
like a nerd.
With your dick in your hand.
With your dick in your hand, again.
Like a nerd.
So, AI is even more important than the Bitcoin you missed. It's more important than the DeFi you missed. It's more important than all the things I talked about. I predicted how COVID was a scam. I've made money on the war in Ukraine. I've made so much money, and it's all public record because I'm never, ever wrong. So when I say this to people, I say, so what are you doing with AI? They go, nothing. Why nothing?
Well, just for the record, money for the war in Ukraine, because he knew Russian sanctions wouldn't work. We don't profit from wars.
Correct.
Just putting that out there.
So, the most crazy thing about this AI stuff is, you can actually use it to do things that are kind of interesting. Imagine you're a total dork nobody. Sorry, most of you don't have to imagine. You're a total dork nobody. You could actually use AI to pretend you're a superhero. You could pretend to be me. So I have full-time teams inside of Hustle University, which are using AI to produce endless amounts of content. We are producing movies. We are producing comic books. We are producing cartoons. We have an Andrew Tate voice. We have endless TikToks being generated by machines and put out into the matrix, letting people know that your mind can be free. Thousands and thousands of man hours are being produced inside of minutes using AI. And we will teach you how to use AI so you can also do the same thing. And when you miss that chance and you don't learn how to use AI, you're going to sit around in 5 years from now and go, hey man, I wish I could get in early on the next big thing. The big thing is here. You're just a lazy moron. Let me give you some examples of some of the stuff that, because we have a whole division dedicated to AI. And I'm going to make this something very clear. I'm not the AI expert inside of Hustle University. We have a whole division of super dorks who understand this stuff better than me. But they send me stuff and it's cool. Let me play it.
How can you see? I can't see.
My laptop set up, logged in Rumble as us.
All of that is generated by machines. What's most interesting is, I actually thought if you would have asked me in my infinite knowledge before this AI stuff came along, which people are going to lose their jobs first. I would have thought, well, maybe truck drivers will have self-driving trucks, or maybe the people who work in factories will have machines that can auto-pick the stuff or whatever. And so that is true, that is happening. But artists are getting wrecked. I don't know if a lot of people know that the Tales of Wudan, all of this is AI generated. So I'm about to play you a video and understand that this is generated using artificial intelligence. This is what we're going to teach you how to do. You could literally write a movie with you in it. You know that girl you're texting who doesn't reply to you anymore? You know that girl you're texting on Instagram who ignores you, who never replies to you because you're a fucking geek? You could take pictures of her and pictures of you and you can put together a love story and generate this whole AI cartoon about how you fall in love. You might even get some pussy so you can stop jerking off. If only you knew how to use artificial intelligence. And the reason you don't know is not because you're too stupid. It's because you're too lazy. The video I'm about to play you is all of the animation and computer graphics are done by a machine. We don't hire anybody. Nobody's sitting there with a pen and pencil. In fact, of the 110 people who work for me, I sent an email out today, at least 40% of them are going to have lost their jobs by the end of the year because the machines are coming. Terminator is coming. It's real.
Mike's muted. Okay, we're back online. Go on.
Mike was muted on purpose.
As you were saying, on purpose.
That was top secret.
AI did it.
The video you just watched was generated completely and utterly by machines. Skynet is real. It is about to go online. You can either stay poor, stay a loser, or for once in your life, you can be ahead of the curve and do something before everybody else does it. But do not do it lazy. Do not be the person in the river with the little stupid spade. You must attack it with all of your might, all of your gumption. You must be like me. You must attack fully and absolutely and conquer the space, leaving no room at all for competitors. That is the most important thing you must do if you want to be successful. Because I tell you something, when your progeny, when your grandchildren come up to you and say, "Why are we brokies, Dad? Why didn't you listen to Top G?" You're going to have to explain to them that you watched this podcast and understood exactly what I was saying, and you knew AI was here to stay, and you knew it was going nowhere, and you didn't know how to use it, and you made no effort at all to learn, and that's why you stayed a fucking loser. You're gonna have to explain that to your bloodline. I don't have to explain anything to my bloodline. Me and my children and my great-grandchildren will be flying in the sky on private jets as you eat the bugs. Talk about how we told all of them to get in on AI and they were still too stupid to do it. Now, if you're sitting here going, okay, I understand AI is there to stay, and I understand it's not going anywhere, and I understand I need to learn how to use it. I understand I can put together cartoons with me and that bitch from Instagram, and I might finally get my dick wet. I understand all these things. What do I do? I have a solution for you. The solution is clear and simple. On the 14th of July, like the question you asked me 20 minutes ago, what is happening? We are launching a boot camp specifically inside of Hustle University that will teach you how to use AI so that you can, one, make money, and two, perhaps be cool one day. Another thing I want to mention, a lot of people ask me, Tate, what's the next big crypto? What's the next big crypto pump? I'll tell you what the next big crypto pump is. Because crypto is basically over. The idea of dumb money is over. You're not going to put in 40 or 50 bucks into some fucking coin and it blow up high enough to ever change your life. That shit's done. You should have been in early. You weren't. You missed it. You're missing out on this one. But there is something you can do with $49 worth of crypto which will change your life. Because now, Hustle University accepts crypto. And I guarantee it'll be the best crypto investment you have ever made.
What is the Matrix? Probably the question I am asked most often. And I will describe it to you perfectly. The Matrix is a fish tank. And you are the fish. Sure, you can explore a little bit. You can go and play in the little house. You can dance around amongst the little plastic plants. You can have a little fish friend. Sometimes they'll give you some food to eat. Life's not too bad in the fish tank. Until you try to escape. If you ever try to surpass the remit of the parameters they have decided for you, you will bump into a glass wall. And the Matrix is constructed with glass walls on all sides. Most people are unaware of this. Most people are perfectly happy to stay inside of the fish tank. They have no idea these glass walls even exist because they're not trying to escape. As a fish, if you do what you're supposed to do, the glass walls will never trouble you. You won't even know they're there. But the second you try to go too far, you try to think too big, you try to be too free, you bump into the glass wall and realize it's not possible. There are many such examples of these glass walls, but I'm going to give you a very simple one. Hustles University, my school, which teaches 18 modern wealth creation methods. We're an online educational platform which teach people how to make money so they can break free. It's an unfortunate reality that if you want to be free from the Matrix, you're going to need money to do that. It's very difficult to do if you're poor. And that is what we teach. Not only the ways to get rich, but also the mindset you should have once you're rich to ensure you're never a slave again. Now, did you know there are particular banks in particular countries which will not allow you to buy Hustlers University, regardless of how much money you have in the bank? You can have $1 million in your debit card. It will not let the transaction go through. Do you know there are countries which prevent you from buying Hustlers University? Entire nations have gone out of their way to find a way to stop you from purchasing access to Hustlers University. Now, this is nothing but testament to our junk food. You're allowed to buy scams. You're allowed to buy things that do not work. But as soon as something is actually working, as soon as something is successful, as soon as something is committing the capital crime of not only allowing people to escape the fish tank, but showing others exactly how easily it can be done, then it must stop. Then the glass wall appears. Most of you had no idea that banks are extremely difficult to deal with and easily stop people from becoming prosperous on purpose. You've never bumped into a glass wall. Unless you try to escape, you're never going to know the walls are there. In response to this, we've been extremely creative. We've started our own bank, our own payment processing. We've had to build our entirely own app. Everything is ours because anything that was Matrix controlled was used as a weapon to stop us from helping you become free. If we weren't good at what we did, if we didn't teach you exactly how to get out of the fish tank, they never would have put up a wall in the first place. So now, we've reached a new level. Hustles University accepts crypto. Cryptocurrency payments allow you access to the premier online educational tool that exists on the planet today. There is nothing stopping you, no matter what bank you bank with or which country you live in, from joining Hustles University and understanding the secrets to modern wealth creation. We will teach you things which are up to date by the second. Our curriculum changes by the minute. Our professors are there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and you have direct access to the multimillionaires teaching you in real time. This is not an outdated textbook. This is up-to-date information on wealth creation methods you've never heard of. This is a way for you to go up to the glass wall, break it, and be free. If you don't understand exactly what I'm saying to you, if you've never experienced these glass walls, or you think you can just do whatever you want in life and become as successful as you like, and help people and be honest and be good and tell the truth, then you've not been trying hard enough to escape. Anyone who's genuinely be trying to escape, just like the fish in the fish tank, would have run into a wall at some point, and I'm telling you, we found another way to prevent the walls from stopping you joining our educational platform. The glass walls exist. And you have three choices in life. You either never encounter them because you're not trying to break free, you attempt to break free and you are restricted, or you finally find out what it takes to break free and you get through it. You break out of the matrix. I'm waiting for you inside of Hustlers University.
In conclusion, do not ask me what the next big thing is. Do not have this fantasy that you're going to get into something early and that you're not going to try very hard and become rich. Because even when you hear about things at an early stage, you do not act. And if you do act, you're competing against men like me who are not lazy. The only way you're going to get rich is to be perspicacious, to be indefatigable, to pay attention. And when you have a message from the matrix, from the universe, like the message you're receiving right now, to take action, to one, take action, and two, try your absolute best with complete fervor and genuine dedication. And then, if you do that once, if you can do that once for a short period of time, you will be rich forever. Do not ask me how to escape the matrix again unless you already have AI machines working for you day and night like I do. As I sleep, my machine minions continue to conquer the internet and attack the matrix. I'm the most canceled, most attacked, one of the most disliked people on the planet by the Matrix, and I am fighting back using machinery, machines, and the heart and soul of honest men. If I can do it, a little fucking unknown dork like you can certainly do it. So you have your answer. There's no reason not to learn. And on July 14th, we will teach anybody with a brain who's prepared to work hard exactly how to benefit from AI.
So that was a very long and in-depth answer to the super chat of what's going on July 14th. The super chats, I want to acknowledge all of them because most of them are just shout outs and thank yous. All the money does go to Take Pledge. Take Pledge goes to save and feed hungry children all across the world, particularly in war zones. You can check that out, takepledge.com or takepledge on Twitter. We've had a few super chats that are all directed towards one question, Andrew, because the future is bright and the future is wild and the future is crazy and new things are happening all the time. So of course, I'm being asked about Miss Netherlands. Miss Netherlands
Let me see, I haven't seen.
Is the current winner of the most beautiful woman in the Netherlands competition. But the funny thing about
Miss Netherlands,
yeah, I know, but the funny thing about Miss Netherlands is that she was born a man. Now,
wait, no. She was born, or her body was a man, but she was born a woman. But she was in the wrong body, you mean?
No, she wasn't born in the wrong body, Andrew. I really think you look, because I know you're going to try and make jokes about this and try and trivialize it, but let me just say something. Women are judged internationally on the standards of beauty. There are a few things that women are judged on: chastity, beauty, temperance, and these are values that we all look for in women. Now, I don't believe it's right to be hijacking the competitions which highlight maybe the most coveted female. What are you doing?
Nothing.
The most coveted female quality. You know, the women who win these Miss Country competitions, the women who win these Miss World competitions, Miss Universe competitions, are some of the most coveted women in the world for a reason. Because beauty is coveted. And beauty is a massive asset. So I don't think it's okay for biological men to be interfering in women's competitions.
Why are you saying biological men, though, if she was clearly born in the wrong body?
She wasn't born in the wrong body. And
how can she win Miss Netherlands if she's not a girl? Miss! Can you respect her pronouns? Are you stupid? Miss. What does miss mean? It means girl. Argue with me on this point. You're assuming her gender, firstly.
No.
You are, because she's saying she's a woman, you're saying she's not, so you're assuming her gender. So that's the first reason you're a bigot. Second reason you're a bigot is because you don't understand that gender is fluid. And it's completely separate to your biological sex.
You don't think this.
Why would they just are you telling me that we live in a world where they're just going to let some random dude win Miss Netherlands?
Yes. Some Dutch man.
That doesn't make any sense. You're telling me, wait, stop. You, in your bigoted mind, believe
I'm not a bigot.
that they're just going to let some random dude in a wig waltz on and win Miss Netherlands.
I am
for
actually
girls.
defending women's rights here, which is something I do all the time, and no one seems to listen when I do. I think women have the right to exclusively have their competitions to themselves without men interfering. Yes,
She's not a woman because she's Miss. Her pronouns.
She's Mr. Netherlands, beauty king.
You're a bigot.
I'm not a king.
You're a bigot.
I'm not a bigot.
You are.
This is not.
I want everyone to know at home that I wholeheartedly support. What's her name?
Brian. Steve Dutchman.
Steve Dutchman. I wholeheartedly support Steve Dutchman and her success becoming the most beautiful girl in the Netherlands. I actually managed to Google here a picture of the Miss Netherlands competition, and what the real concern is that you haven't actually mentioned, Tristan, which upsets me a little bit because I considered you a smart man and a man who's particularly astute and pays attention to details. What I actually find the most disturbing about
I've never
this
seen
whole
this picture, but go on.
What I actually find disturbing about this whole Miss Netherlands debacle, which we're discussing here, is that none of these girls are particularly attractive. That's what's actually worrying.
Yeah, there's certainly a pandemic of dropping beauty standards in models and pretending that normal, average-ass chicks are.
I'm not here to insult anybody, but we've been to the Netherlands. We fought there a bunch of times. I've had like 15 fights in Holland.
I've had Dutch girlfriends.
There's a lot of very beautiful women in the Netherlands. I think the Netherlands can do a bit better.
Yeah, Natalie looks okay, and the rest are pretty mid. Pretty average. So,
except for that Ricky. Who's this? Ricky? Rikiki.
You know that's the man. That's the man. You know it. You're just saying this to annoy me. You know that's the dude.
There's not a dude in a Miss competition.
There,
I understand that. If it's Miss, we have to move on from this.
I did this to you with Leah Thomas, and now you're trying to get back at me.
I'm not trying to do anything besides say the truth about your own bigotry.
Andrew, do you think Threads is a copy of Twitter?
Threads is gay. Listen, let me tell you about Threads. It actually, no, but it upsets me. It upsets me. This Threads crap upsets me. And you know what upsets me the most? From these right-wing conservative nerds. Because most of them only want attention because they're dorks. Do you know why liberals win? I'm going to take my sunglasses off for this.
Lack of principle.
The reason liberals win is because, one, the right has a lack of principle. But also, most people on the right are fucking boring nerds. The left are having orgies, doing drugs, they own the culture, they sing songs, they make movies. Find the average conservative and talk to him. They're fucking boring. They don't do anything cool at all.
I mean, I detest Sam Smith, but he looks like he could throw a funner party.
He'd throw a party, at least. And I went to CPAC like years and years ago, and I remember just walking around thinking, nerd fest, no wonder we're losing, everyone's a fucking dork. The right are a bunch of fucking boring nerds. At least the liberals are having fun. They're partying and shit. Now, obviously, I think all of that is haram. But you understand where I'm saying if you're a young person, you're going to be attracted to a particular culture. And the right is very, very boring. If you're going to be boring, at least be principled. But it turns out none of these people are even principled, which upsets me even more because all they're doing is sitting here talking shit for attention. But when it comes down to it, they just fucking pussy out because they want more attention because they're a bunch of little girls. How long has the right... People have been complaining about internet censorship, about the fact we want the ability to stand up and speak for ourselves, how we can save the world if we have free speech. Elon comes along. King Elon comes along, buys Twitter, gives everyone the chance to speak freely on the internet for the first time in modern history ever. We can genuinely, literally save the world. And then Zuck comes along, Mr. Cancellation, the head of all fucking censorship, the first company that banned us along with everyone else's Meta. He comes along and goes, I'm going to copy Twitter, come over to a shit version of Twitter where you can get censored all the time, and everyone's just signing up. No honor. No street cred. Elon saved you. Elon's the reason you're allowed an opinion again. You're not even going to sit there and go, I'll just stick to Twitter because Elon's a G. You're going to say, oh, his #1 competitor's appeared, and I can't wait to go and get fucking my account deleted. What's the point?
Yeah.
Why would you even sign up to that? How gay are you? Like, what's next? Gay porn, Threads. I don't know which order it's in. You go and you sign up for Threads, and you say the same shit you say on Twitter, and you get your account banned. What was the whole point of it? And at least if you never sign up, you can say, I'm a real G. I never cucked out. I never sold out on Elon. I'm Twitter for life like we did. These people are just running over there. And the people who are running over there are the exact same people who are complaining about internet censorship. Do you think Zuck's not going to censor you? Do you think he's changed his mind?
He's going to censor you.
He's going to, what the fuck is, it's stupid. I don't understand any of it. Anyone who signed up for Threads, anybody, please, if anyone sees me in a picture anywhere, you know, you see these take confidentials and all the stuff we do. If you ever see me hang around with anybody and they have a Threads account, please let me know and I'll exclude them from my life permanently. I do not talk to people who have Threads accounts ever again, because one of the best things about being rich is I don't need anybody. I don't need anyone. I don't talk to anyone I don't want to talk to. I get to draw weird lines in the sand and stick by my principles. And one of the lines in the sand I have is anyone who uses Threads is no friend of mine, because they're bitch made and they're a snitch. I don't believe in that shit.
Yeah.
I'm from the streets. If somebody gives you a chance, you stick by that person. I stick by Elon and Twitter. He gave us all a chance to save the world. I'm not running over to fucking Cuckland to get my account deleted.
And that is another reason why you'll never find me anywhere but Rumble. Let me just add that in right now, because let's not pretend there isn't money on the table for us to take to try to go somewhere else. You could pay me $1 billion. I don't care what streaming platform you are. YouTube could offer me $1 billion to come back, and I would rather not be a billionaire and tell them to fuck off. So yeah, principles above everything else.
If YouTube sent me an email saying we'll offer you $1 billion to come back to YouTube, I would reply with it.
Okay, so we take the $1 billion. We give fake bank account details so it all goes to charity. We get our YouTube account back. We post that video 500 times until they ban us again and get mad at us for not making any content.
If we posted only that video on YouTube, they'd never ban us.
That's the funny thing.
That video is perfectly allowed
That would
on
not
YouTube.
get you banned. Yes.
That will never get you banned.
That's
but if you say go to the gym, have personal responsibility, stick up for yourself, have parameters, have self-respect, be the kind of man who has expectations and parameters for what he wants inside of a friendship, a platonic one, and a romantic partner, hold women accountable for making sure that they're honest and decent people, just like you would from a man, then you're a horrible misogynist and you must be deleted. But if you played that video every single day, endlessly, to children on YouTube, they would probably pay you. In fact, with our influence, they would put us on the homepage and pay us billions of dollars to just show that video over and over.
Yeah, that's what's wrong with the world. So yeah, stay loyal to good platforms. Rumble's the way if you want to make videos. Twitter's the way if you want to speak. So I've been reading, Andrew, about a group of people called the Nazis. I'm not sure if you ever heard of them. They were the National Socialists. They obviously famously took over Germany. They were involved heavily in World War II. They murdered millions of innocent people. And I didn't know that I was a Nazi until today when I was reading the news headlines that fitness and going to the gym make you a Nazi, apparently. Now, this has been reported by reputable organizations like The Independent, The Daily Mail, reputable organizations.
Mainstream media.
Mainstream media. So, are you a Nazi? Because you do like training and going to the gym, and I didn't know until today that was a very important part of being a Nazi.
I got bad news for you. I think I'm a Nazi. I'm not sure about you.
What do you mean?
I'm not sure. I think.
Well, because I'm half black, I'm not allowed to be a Nazi because I go to the gym.
I don't know if you got that. It's a good idea. Not like me, bruv. Just saying. I don't know. I don't know if you're really a Nazi. I think I'm gonna have to take that one, unfortunately.
So,
but the actual serious point is, I know we've been having a joke in this emergency meeting. But we've got to a point where they're going to tell you that going to the gym and becoming physically strong makes you a bad person, because as soon as you become physically strong, you're more likely to sit and think for yourself, because you have an innate ability to disagree with people because you're no longer fearful.
Yeah.
You also have. It's impossible to train your body without training your mind. You also train your mind. You become critically thinking, and you become the kind of person who understands dedication and hard work and discipline. And you start to wake up and realize that only hard work to get you where you want to get in life, and that nothing comes for free, and you're not going to buy into these socialist slave mind garbage. So they're going to sit there and say that going to the gym makes you a bad person, because going to the gym innately is going to teach you all of the realities of the world, and they don't want you to live in reality. They want you to live in fantasy so they can inject their slave mind into you. So now, even being in good physical condition makes you a bad person. Who said that? The Independent said that?
Well, yeah, I believe so. And a bunch of other newspapers that are obviously full of shit, because despite the people who are going to cut up our clips of us saying we are Nazis because we go to the gym, we are, in fact, not Nazis.
And that's why it's so important that you do train, because you are wearing a t-shirt there that says resist the slave mind.
How are we going to resist the slave mind without physical strength?
How are you going to resist the slave mind if the people who are trying to inject the slave mind into you can grab you by your neck and snap you?
The 360,000 Americans who fought to free the South from slavery were strong men. They had to be strong to resist the slave mind. If they were a bunch of pussies who sat around jerking off to porn all day, the South would have won the war and kept people enslaved.
Correct. So it's very important that you're physically capable. This is when I was talking earlier about how to escape the matrix. You need to, one, have money, but you also, two, need to be extremely physically capable, because you're going to learn a lot of things about yourself in that journey. And also, when you reach the final form, if you're ever lucky enough to become as powerful as me, like a Super Saiyan, you can stand up against the matrix and say, no, kill me, try, shoot me, hit me with your last bullet, unfazed. You do not just become strong for your body, you become strong for your mind. You have to have a capability and a propensity to resist enslavement, and that requires not only the ability to have an open and free mind, but to have physical strength. After this EM, I want to make something else very clear to you guys. I speak to a lot of people, a lot of fans come up to me. People who say they're huge fans of mine, they watch all of my content, etc. If you come up to me and you're a brokey, or you come up to me and you look weak, you're not a fan of mine. If you're a fan of mine, you're an extremely diligent, hardworking person who's trying to become as strong as possible and trying to become as rich as possible, because you understand that is how you save yourself, you save the people you care about, you save the people you love, and you save the world. It's how you protect yourself as a man. It's also how you protect your women, or your woman, or your mother, or your daughters, or your children. All of it requires you to be physically strong and for you to be financially savvy. If you come up to me and you look like a brokey, or you look weak, you are not a fan of mine. Fans of mine are extremely wealthy and they're extremely strong, because I tell you exactly how to do it.
Matt Shea is a fan, and he's broke and dressed like shit.
He's a DNG.
Okay, he's a DNG.
And he's already been getting, and we've had a lot of people buying the DNG t-shirt. I keep seeing how many emails he's got. He's going to have a very fun night seeing what a DNG he is.
Good. And all of this is available on topg.com.
Correct, topg.com. And guys, anyone who wants more information about the AI bootcamp we're launching, that's going to teach everyone how to build their own cartoons and become superheroes and make money with AI, you can sign up for the newsletter completely free. You can see there at the bottom, corporatetape.com/newsletter. It's completely free. We'll be giving more information away.
I'm going to interrupt this emergency meeting with an emergency broadcast. There's an emergency within the emergency meeting, and that emergency is this. The one and only Big G of the internet, Tucker Carlson, came over here to do an interview, and that interview is going live in minutes. So I'm going to call an early end to this emergency meeting, because that itself is an emergency. If you are not familiar with who Tucker Carlson is, I don't know where you've been, but go to @TuckerCarlson on Twitter, and his interview with Andrew is going to drop in the upcoming moments.
Is he actually dropping it now?
He is. I got a message from a guy from his media team. The interview is dropping almost now, so in just a few minutes. So get over to Tucker Carlson on Twitter. Tucker on Twitter, great show. You featured on it. I will feature on it in a couple days' time. But real life emergency meeting. Let's keep going.
Let's keep going. I guess it's the end. So let's just make the outro. No,
This is not the outro.
It's the outro.
I'm leaving.
Let's go from
So guys, Andrew Tate and Tucker Carlson interview is finally here. If you want to join the real world, we have a link in the description.
So what are you charged with?
That's a really good question. I'm charged with being the head of an organized criminal group, which is in charge of recruiting girls to make TikTok videos to steal the money from the TikTok views.
Recruiting girls to make TikTok videos and stealing the money. So it's really a financial crime?
It looks that way, and it's very interesting because the girls who they've identified to add to the file are saying that we're not victims of anything, and this isn't true. But the state believes it's true, and the state thinks that I, as a 35-year-old man, woke up. I was already extremely financially successful. I was already a father. I was already very well known. I had no financial motivation. I have no criminal record. It's not my personality profile, but I woke up at the age of 35 and decided to make girls do TikTok to enrich myself with the pennies that I would earn from TikTok views.
So in the United States, I think the belief is that you were charged with human trafficking.
Yeah, that's human trafficking, because what you do is you force a girl to work against her will for financial gain. That's human trafficking. And their justification for this is that girls do TikTok. Some girls I know who they found who say they're not victims have TikTok accounts.
How do you force someone to do TikTok videos?
I guess the prosecutor is going to have to explain that, isn't he? It's a very interesting scenario I'm in, and I'm inside of Romania, so I have to show a degree of respect to the Romanian judicial system. And I have to show a degree of respect to the situation I'm in. But the overall charge is that there's an organized criminal group. There's a group of us. I'm the head of it. My brother is below me. And we use the lover boy method to convince women to do TikTok videos to make money so that we can steal the TikTok money.
So there's no, just to be clear, you are not accused of pandering, of pimping, of forcing women to have sex with anybody.
No, not forcing them to have sex, not restraining their movement, not stopping them from living a full life, but the fact that we are somehow convincing them to have TikTok.
Very interesting. I don't think.
But there's no actual. I'm asking you this because I do think it's a widespread belief that you were accused of pimping.
Yeah, no, that's nothing to do with any of this case. Absolutely nothing. And it's kind of scary because the crime in itself of human trafficking is a unique one because they can ignore the statement of the victim. So the girls have come forward and said, this is insane. You've just picked us because we're near Andrew and we're his friends. But the whole idea of the crime is they can say that she's brainwashed, right? She's under duress. So you can ignore her statement. State says she's a victim regardless of the fact that she says she's not a victim. So it's very interesting because the difference between sex and rape is consent, right?
Right.
But they remove all of that. They're like, nope, you're a victim. No matter what you say, we're deciding you're a victim. And they've chosen them. And of course, these girls do nothing pornographic. They've never had sex with anyone, nothing to do with that. So they've picked TikTok. So it's scary. Imagine you're a full-grown man anywhere in the world today. They can find two girls who have TikTok on their phone, which is every single female on the planet, and they can accuse you of forcing them to take the TikTok money. And even if the girls say they didn't do that, this isn't true, then you're still a human trafficker.
But force, what does that consist of? Forcing someone to do something? Are they accusing you of using violence or?
No, they're accusing me, and this thing, they're accusing me of using the lover boy method, coercing them by being nice.
And by the way, these charges presumably are public, so...
They're public, and this is extremely serious, but if you actually analyze the overall case against me, they're saying that Andrew and his brother, by being nice men, convinced girls to have TikTok accounts and then take the money. And it's very interesting because inside of the entire case file, there's not a single financial transaction to us for money.
What are the penalties?
They're extremely severe, 5 to 10 years in jail. And I've already served, coming up now, 7 months in a form of jail. They can only
So you are essentially incarcerated right now.
Absolutely, I'm on house arrest, and that counts as jail. You can only be held 6 months without charge. I was initially picked up, thrown in a cell without charge, and I think the intention of the entire investigation at that point was to find the crime because they had very, very weak evidence. They contacted 2,000 people who know me or knew me. They tried very hard to convince some female somewhere to come forward and say something bad about me. The media machine, which works hands in hand with the justice machine, as you know very well, did exactly that. In fact, they offered bribes effectively. They'd call up ex-girlfriends and say, if you have anything bad to say about Andrew, we can pay you $50,000 for the story. And they tried very hard. They didn't find any evidence of anything. They then released me on house arrest, and in 2 days before the legal limit in which they had to drop everything, they charged me with whatever they had from the beginning, which is very little. And now we have to wait for the Romanian judicial system to analyze the file and, God willing, throw it away.
How long did you spend in jail?
I was in jail for 92 days in a Romanian jail cell.
What was that like?
It was certainly an interesting experience. I won't lie and say it was easy. It was certainly very difficult. The uncertainty of it. It's a very uncertain situation to be picked up on just before New Year's Eve and thrown in a cell without charge. And I'm asking different prison guards and different prisoners, how long am I going to be here? One prisoner was like, I've been here 2 years. I was like, have you been charged? He goes, yeah, but I haven't gone to court yet. Like, everyone's been there for years. I thought I was going to be there for years. And it certainly takes a mental toll on you. And I think jail's a different experience when you know you're innocent. There was a guy in there for murder. He's like, yeah, I murdered someone, I'm in jail. You can your soul and your mind can accept the punishment for a crime. But when you've actually done nothing wrong, I think jail is a lot harder.
Did you know why you were there?
Not initially. So for about the first 2 weeks, I never actually got told in English what I was accused of because I was arrested on December 29th. There's New Year's.
What were the circumstances of that?
Yeah, December 29th, 5 a.m., the armed guards ran in this house. They spent all day searching the entire house. They're very interested in electronics, as most federal agencies are. And then they took me that evening and said, we're going to go and put you in jail for 24 hours. And after 24 hours, you see a judge, and the judge will decide if you stay in jail. And the judge decided I should stay in jail.
What did you do? I mean, who'd you call?
I had a lawyer, and my lawyer came and he said, we need to analyze the case file and you see what they have against you. You're being accused of human trafficking. It's a human trafficking, that's insane. Who? When? What? I went to jail and then I was given all this paper in Romanian. I don't speak Romanian, although I live here. And then I was waiting for the translation. So I think it's about 2 weeks before I finally got the papers in English to understand why I was in a jail cell. And then I really understood how insane the accusations were.
What is human trafficking?
Yeah, so the overall, my understanding of it, they're saying that human trafficking is when you convince a woman to do something she doesn't want to do for financial gain. And there's different methods you can do that. You can do that through force, and you can also do that through
How is that-
emotional coercion.
I think most people, just speaking from the American perspective, most people believe that human trafficking is effectively slavery, selling human beings.
That's what I believe as well. Absolutely. And this is the thing that's so interesting. When you finally end up the enemy of the Matrix, and they use the legal system as a weapon to punish you for having an opinion, you realize how subjective the law is, right? Because it can be a weapon. When you have something subjective, you can just pick and choose. So if they sit and say, human trafficking is a woman doing something for financial gain against her will via emotional coercion. Well, he knows these two girls, they have TikTok accounts.
Emotional coercion?
Convincing her. That's what I'm accused of, because they have no proof of me doing anything wrong. So they said, he's convinced these girls to do TikTok for money. The girls have said themselves, this is not true, and the state is denying their statement, saying, no, you're brainwashed, it is true. And I went to jail.
So how is the state, so the state is trying to coerce the women. So how is the state not committing human trafficking by the same definition?
Well, absolutely, it's very interesting. It's very interesting that you can sit someone down and tell them they're a victim when they say they're not a victim.
You're a victim of being coerced, and we're going to try to coerce you into conceding you were coerced.
Exactly. It's a very interesting scenario. And
okay.
Yeah, and it's a very interesting scenario. And it's up until this point, no judge has looked at the evidence of the case. So up until this point, I've been to court a bunch of times. But the only reason I was in court was to discuss my preventative detention. So under Romanian law, if you being free can impede the investigation, you should stay in jail. So the judge agreed that, yeah, maybe if he's free, he can damage this investigation because they're trying very hard to get something on this guy. So I've done a bunch of jail time. And now it just begins. The judge is going to look at the case. And like I said, God willing, I still have enough faith in the Romanian judicial system that she's going to look at this and go, this is not a crime.
You're aware of the media coverage of this, however. So you're in jail for 90 days or more, and the rest of the world is talking about you. Do you know what they're saying?
They're saying very heinous things, and I would hate to come across as a conspiracy theorist, Tucker, but I kind of have a feeling that this might be something to do with my influence and an attempt to slander my name. Perhaps I'm crazy. But the fact that they chose such a heinous crime, and they reported it so heavily, and they won't shut up and keep repeating basically a slander attack day after day after day. Also considering the fact that other people who genuinely commit heinous crimes have far more favorable press coverage. But I don't want you to think I'm a conspiracy theorist. Please, Tucker, I would hate for you to come here and call me crazy. But something very strange about it, and I think
when Jeffrey Epstein's friends call you immoral?
Yeah. The goal of it is certainly to slander my name, and I like to see it as a litmus test. I like to see it as an intelligence test. Anybody who wakes up and looks at me and goes, he's a human trafficker because of TikTok, they're fully gone.
So, but from the West, just to defend the average news consumer in the West.
Sure.
Andrew Tate, kind of an outlaw, lives in some palace in Romania, wherever that is. And and Romania sounds like the kind of place where human trafficking is like the main industry.
A lot of it happens here. That's what's so crazy about it, right? What's so crazy is if they really want to find a human trafficker, I think they could probably do it quite easily. But they managed to get me.
That's certainly the perception. But it's one of those charges that kind of sells itself.
Oh, absolutely, and it doesn't matter if you're found guilty or not, right? You're a human trafficker forever. And but I do think that public consciousness is changing. I think with things like there's been some very large court cases recently involving some very famous people in which women were caught lying, trying to slander men's names for rape and these kinds of things. And I don't think people believe it anymore. But that scares me to a degree, because I think that the typical weapon, the standardized playbook, is now failing, and I don't know what the new playbook's going to be. It's almost like better the devil you know. You're too famous, you're too successful, we don't like you. Call him a rapist or a human trafficker, put him all over the news, slander his name, try and wreck his life. Now that nobody believes it, what's the next move? What are they going to try next?
Wouldn't it just have been easier to commit like a massive financial crime and defraud people of billions? Come up with like a fake cryptocurrency, call it like, I don't know, FTX, or just give a name to it.
Yep, something random.
Steal billions and get your parents involved and buy a bunch of real estate in the Bahamas, and then like you'd be sort of a hero, right?
Oh, absolutely, and I would have certainly made a lot more money than TikTok, because I don't think TikTok even pays you for views, and if it certainly does, I never got a single transaction from it. So it's a very interesting scenario, but if I was accused of a financial crime, my name would not be slandered. So
of course not. You have the presumption of innocence. So just back to the jail thing. So you're in with your brother.
At the beginning I was not, but towards the end I was, yeah.
What did you do all day?
It's a good question. I looked at the wall, stared at the wall, smoked cigarettes, lots of push-ups, read the Quran.
You smoked cigarettes, did push-ups, and read the Quran.
Basically, yes. And certainly had some introspective moments. Tried my best to get out, tried my best to via my small phone calls, understand what's happening in the outside world. Tried to make sure that the people I love and care about are taken care of, because I'm the man of my family, and I'm also the man of quite a large, I wouldn't say empire, but life. And there's a whole lot of people who rely on you. You know, you have staff and families, you have children and families.
Feeling, yeah.
So when you're plucked from that, it's kind of strange. You're in jail and you're concerned for yourself, but your primary concerns are also all your duties as a man. I have duties as a man. I don't want children to starve.
You've got a whole tribe.
I've got people to pay. So it was very, very frustrating, constantly trying to make sure everybody else was okay and feeling helpless. That's what hurt me the most. I was trying to make sure everybody I love and care about was fine, and I wasn't as powerful as I should have been, and that was very upsetting, and especially if they were going to keep me there for years. I was having serious concerns about how I can feed the people I love.
Did you ever come to the edge at all?
No. I certainly had some days I was less happy than others, but I made sure that my mindset was built in a way that I could always be doing something constructive, and also I think you get what you give in life. And if I ever felt particularly sad on a day, I would try very hard to make other people happy, because if I made other people smile, I'd feel better. So even the dinner ladies or the prison guards, I'd try very hard just to make people smile. I know it sounds silly. Some of the prison guards were more open than others, but there was a couple prison guards who were ice cold and didn't want to say a word to me. Like, hey bro, your hair looks amazing. And you just stare at me like he wants, shut up. But I just try my best to cheer people up, to cheer myself up. And as a man, all you can do is just find the resolve to continue doing the best you can in the current circumstance. So,
what were the other prisoners like?
I don't want to insult Romania in any way, and I love this country and I chose to live here. But if I had to describe it for the people, for an American audience to understand, I don't think Romania and a lot of these countries have the same kind of mental health setup or the mental health support that a lot of Western nations have. So you end up in jail. So I think there was a lot of mental health problems inside the jail. So it was very similar. It wasn't just a jail, there was also a lot of mental health problems in there, which adds a new complexity and a new dimension to the suffering, because there's just random screaming and there's suicide, and it's certainly not a very nice place to be.
Oh, so it's horrifying.
Yeah, I don't want to go back.
You hear the phrase Romanian prison and it sounds tough, so it was what you would imagine.
It is, and when this process is over, there's a lot more I will say, but I will say the staff were very nice to me, and I want to make this clear. I want to make it very clear that all the staff in the jail were very professional and very nice to me.
5 seconds remaining.
I would almost say that they believed I was innocent and they understood that I didn't belong there. There was a semi-apologetic vibe to the way I was treated by the guards, if that makes sense.
Yes.
They understood very well. I don't think anybody, like I said, with a functioning brain believes that me at the age of 35 decided to steal TikTok money and ruin my entire life without financial motivation to girls who say they're not victims of anything. I don't think anybody with a brain.
Well, the fact that you're not accused of a sex crime or of violence, which I think most people don't really understand.
Yep.
And they can look it up.
Yep.
I mean, but you're not actually accused of rape, selling anyone, pimping.
Correct.
Okay.
10 seconds remaining.
That right there raises a lot of questions.
Well, yeah, and this is the thing that's so interesting, because I'm accused of using a method of human trafficking called the lover boy method. So how that would traditionally work is a man would meet a girl, become her boyfriend, take her to another country, turn her into a prostitute, say I love you, like pimping.
Of course.
But they're saying, because all my conversations with these girls are very nice, they're saying that I use the lover boy method to convince them to do TikTok. And once again, I never made a penny from TikTok, and I have no interest in girls' TikTok's accounts, and I've never made any money from TikTok in my life.
So that raises the question. So that right there, I think, I mean, we can let people assess. I'm not, an expert on the Romanian legal code, but that's kind of not the impression that most people have.
Okay, and that's the media who have made that the media have tried very hard to do that. And if I had to estimate, I think that the overall intention was just to throw me in a cell, use the media machine to drum up something real. I think that's what the goal was.
So, but what's I believe that. It seems, obviously.
Yeah.
One thing, I've never been to Romania before, and one thing I'm struck by is the American presence here.
Oh, it's massive.
Fully understand that. So there are 3 NATO bases here now. They're bustling because of the war in Ukraine.
Yep.
One's on the Black Sea,
Yep.
right below Crimea. So this is strategically important, this country, to NATO.
Absolutely.
And so this is a lot less far away than I realized. It's much more American influence.
Oh, absolutely. I
Do you
think
think that played a role?
Yeah, well, I think, and I don't want to get this incorrect, I think it's the second or third biggest U.S. embassy in the world. The U.S. embassy here looks like a prison. It's huge. They've got a huge embassy here, and even during Ceausescu, during the communism days, Romania was an ally of the West, even during communism.
Yes.
So yes.
Ceausescu came to New York.
Yes, that's right, yeah. So Romania and America have been very good friends for a very long time. I have to be careful what I say, but it's certainly very interesting what's happened to me. The American embassy were not particularly helpful, let's put it that way. They weren't very interested in me being locked up without charge. They didn't seem very interested in getting me out.
But you're an American citizen.
Absolutely. And
So you're an American passport holder.
correct.
So I think the average American believes, perhaps falsely, that if you're accused of a crime in a foreign country, particularly a less developed country like Romania, you go to the U.S. Embassy and someone takes an interest in your case just to make sure that your treatment falls within, accepted standards of justice.
Yeah, they came to see me, but when I was asking them what they can actually do about all of this, they weren't particularly helpful. I don't want to peddle conspiracy theories, and I've heard a lot of information, etc. But I wouldn't say they sanctioned it. I don't know if they had to sanction it, but they weren't particularly interested in getting me out. But at least they came to see me more than once. I mean, they kind of pretended to care. The UK embassy didn't even pretend to care. The UK embassy was, I really think they didn't.
And you're a British subject as well.
Correct. And this is the kind of thing, and I want to say this here, that's kind of frustrating because Romania is my home now for 7 years, but I'm half British, half American originally. And when something like this happens to you, you have this longing for home. You kind of want to go home. When you end up in a jail in a country where, even though you've lived for a long time, you don't speak the language, you don't understand the legal system, going to court in a foreign language is far more intimidating than in your own language.
Can't even imagine.
You don't have a clue what's being said. You don't understand how anything works. And then you kind of have this longing for home, but I feel like my home countries hate me. And they hate me because of my message, which I believe to be a positive message. So you kind of have this strange feeling of homelessness. It's like, well, if I go to the UK, I believe they're going to attack me the same. If I go to America, I believe they're going to attack me the same. So where do you go? It's kind of scary.
Where do you go?
Good question. We're going to have to see it.
How did you wind up here?
I moved to Romania. I came to visit a long time ago. Before anybody ever visited Romania, I came to visit, and I genuinely fell in love with the place. It truly is a fantastic country. I love nature. It has an amazing nature. It's a very safe place. It has this reputation of being dangerous. It's not dangerous. It's very safe. The people are very good. The people are very conservative traditionally. It's almost like America was 20, 30 years ago. It's gorgeous. They have a bunch of nice restaurants and plenty of things to do, and I've never had a problem here in any way. Never had any issue with the law or with the other side, criminals, nothing, until this came out of nowhere. So it's been very strange.
So what is it about your message, do you think, that infuriates certain people?
Well, my message is traditional masculinity. My message is to stand up and say what you mean and mean what you say. And even going to the gym nowadays is an act of defiance, because when you have a man who's built with any degree of principle, you say no to things. And I think if I have to analyze my message and why I'm so disliked by the people who dislike me, it's not the things I'm saying, it's the fact that if you adhere to my principles and you adhere to the things I say, you end up being the kind of person who will resist certain ideas. You say no. What kind of man never says no? Name a man who never says no. Men say no, right? Men wake up and say, no, I don't think that should be done this way. No, my children will not be taught that. No.
The father's primary job.
Absolutely. So when you say to men, listen, you're allowed to have an opinion. You're allowed to have standards. You're allowed to have boundaries and barriers. You're allowed to get up and become important and work hard and try hard and become the kind of man who can't be controlled. Then you're seen as an enemy. And especially with the massive influence I've gained, I think they look at me and go, he's helping men resist the slave programming. We don't need him around. We need to empty their brains so we can inject the slave programming and convince men to be eunuchs, because once you're eunuch, then you're not a threat.
I think I buy that. Because your message, I'm not the world's expert on your message, but I've seen a lot of it, and it's not explicitly political, actually.
No, it's not political at all. And their original attack before this Matrix attack is a weaponized virtue, which is what they usually do. There's no genuine virtue inside of these people. They weaponize virtue. They find a virtue, and they turn it into a bullet, and they shoot at you. I'm sure you know very well.
Yeah, I've heard.
Yeah. I was a misogynist for the longest time just for saying that men should have standards. If you tell a man he can have standards in a relationship in any way, you're a misogynist. It's actually very interesting because
What does that mean to have standards in a relationship?
But this is the thing that's so interesting about it, because they've gendered the argument when I never did. I said as a man, you shouldn't have a girlfriend who is a liar and a cheater, and you also shouldn't have male friends who are liars and cheaters. You shouldn't be around dishonest people,
Yes.
male or female.
Amen.
And
Amen.
they gendered it and said, he's a misogynist. He's saying that men should only act this way with women, etc. I said that men should have standards, and you should have protocols that you're prepared to accept, and you should have hard parameters. And if a woman doesn't want to adhere to those parameters, that's her decision, and it's her prerogative, but you don't have to stay with her. Why should you?
What's wrong with that?
Well, that's teaching men to say no. They don't
So-
want men to say no.
So are you arguing that it's better to be with a virtuous woman?
I think so, yes. I know that's
No, I'm serious. That seems
I
like
am,
a good-
Tucker. I don't want to
That seems like good advice.
I don't want to come across as extreme, but yes, I am. And what's actually funny is I really believe most of the things I'm saying were accepted by absolutely everybody 15 years ago, 10 years ago. And now it's public enemy number one. And it's because of the mass influence I have. At one point, I became the most Googled man on earth. At one point. And it's a scary situation I'm
But
in.
if you're arguing that it's really important for a man to find a good woman,
Yeah.
a decent woman, an honest woman,
Yeah.
that's the truest thing that's ever been said. I mean,
Absolutely.
that's the most important thing any man can do. I mean, I can just tell you firsthand.
Oh, thank you very
Being
much.
married 32 years, that's the most important thing. And you think saying that angered people?
Absolutely, because I'm arguing the only way to do that is via masculine excellence. I'm saying in the world we live in today, it's hyper-competitive, and if you want to be the kind of man that has the choice of women to choose a good one, you need to be an excellent man. It's no longer acceptable for you to just be an average Joe or below average. You have to get up, and you have to work hard, and you have to be smart and interesting, and you have to be charismatic and make some money and be in good shape, and you have to try very hard. And unfortunately, for them, if you follow that path as a man and you become successful in those realms, you end up being the kind of person who resists enslavement. You become the kind of person who wakes up and says, no, I don't believe in that. That doesn't make sense to
I
me.
can't imagine a better message than that.
If you want a good society, so then you have to argue and sit and say, do these people want a happy, functioning society, or do they want something else?
What do you think?
I think that I would never kill myself. And I also,
Just throwing that out there.
and I also think that when you want to conquer a society, you kill the military age males. That's what you do. It's the first thing they've ever done. They walk in and all the men have to have their throats cut. They can't perhaps do that, but they can certainly cut your balls off. And then you can't resist. And I think there's certainly a movement to ensure that there's very little resistance left inside of the number one demographic which is required to resist oppression, which are military age males. And they don't want those kind of people waking up with any kind of self-respect or standards, or to say, no, I don't accept this. I do not need a ninth injection. They don't want that. They want you to sit and say, I don't need it, but the news said so, so oh well.
So in the one interview that you and I did, you had a line that I've been thinking about ever since. I thought it was so interesting. I never thought of it before. You said that a lot of people went along with the vax, and that you didn't judge them because vax change. But now that we know that a lot of what we were told was wrong and some of it was a lie, it is a requirement of your own dignity, of your own self-respect, to say so.
Completely. And people should apologize. I really do believe. And I have nothing against the people who fell for the propaganda, fell for the programming, and took
Yes,
the vaccine.
yes, I agree.
Fine. But you should wake up and say, I was fooled. I've learned my lesson. I will not be fooled again. But if you were fooled by the MSM and took the injection, and you continue to be fooled, and you've not self-reflected, and you've not realized that they lied to you the entire way, and you now believe the new bunch of lies that are all over the television, then there's something wrong with you.
Or you don't care that you were lied to.
You don't care that you were lied to, because I think a lot of this is actually genuinely cowardice. I think it's a very easy worldview. The life is easier if you accept the news tells the truth.
Yes.
Everything they want me to believe is true. Everything's nice and simple. Good guys, bad guys, doop-de-doop-de-doo. And if you want to actually wake up, it takes a degree of bravery, because then you have to destroy your entire worldview, everything you've ever understood and everything you're told, and you have to really look at the world and go, oh, this is a mess. And that takes bravery. And once again, that's why they don't want men to be brave. They want you to sit there and go, oh, it's easier if just, CNN said, so it must be true. And it's cowardice. And they're trying to instill cowardice in all of us. That's what they're trying very hard to do. And I think even just me as a person, the people who hate me, my detractors who dislike me so much, even if I say nothing, I just turn up, big, bald, strong, fast car, But you know, it's just me. I'm like the enemy to them because I symbolize men who don't comply. And not don't comply in a negative law-breaking way, but don't comply in a, if we don't agree with that or we don't see common sense in that, we're going to politely decline. And that's something all out.
What's it like to have the prospect of prison hanging over you?
I think that I like to believe that this is a test from God. I like to believe that if you become the most Googled man in the world for saying that you have mental resilience, that God is going to make sure you don't have that degree of fame without testing you. I like to believe that God comes along and says, yes, I've allowed you to become the top G. We're going to see if you really are the top G. I believe that's how the world works. It's certainly intimidating, especially knowing you're completely innocent. But I believe it's a test, and I believe it's my job to pass the test for my ancestors and for people watching over me and for God. And I think I have to do the absolute best I can possibly do in this scenario and the circumstance, regardless of whether I win or lose. I still believe I'm going to win because I've seen the case file and I've seen that no laws have been broken. But even in the very unfortunate circumstance that this Matrix attack goes deep enough to throw me into a jail cell, I think I should handle it like a man. I think I should stay and finish the process, and I should walk with my head held high and suffer as much as I need to suffer to stick by my convictions and know that I'm an innocent person. And I refuse to break. I refuse to cry. I refuse to be depressed about it. I'm going to wake up and I'm going to smile regardless. And regardless of what happens to me, I want everyone to know that, one, I would never kill myself, and two, I think that as a man, there's always going to be a degree of pain and suffering in your journey. I don't think you're ever going to become a successful man or be good at being a man without pain and suffering. And there's many times in my life where something terrible happened to me, and at the time, if I could change it, I would have. But retrospectively, you kind of look back and go, you know what, that was formulative for me.
That's right.
That is what God decided I needed to become who I became. So all of the pain and all the suffering I've ever gone through in my life ended up, in the end, building me into the person I am, and I'm proud of who I am. So if God decides I need to go back to a Romanian dungeon for however many days, then all I can do is accept it and accept his plan and accept that it's going to make me a better person. And
So
deal with
you
it.
see the hand of God in your life?
Absolutely. I think that he's the best of planners. And like I said, if you retrospectively analyze all the times in life you wish you could have changed things, he knew better. And I'm going to have to accept it.
When did you think he did that?
I guess I always kind of knew. I was atheistic for a while when I was younger. But as you get older, you start to look at the world and understand that the thing for me was actually, I guess, the scientific principle is Newton's law of equal and opposite force. If there is evil in the world, and I'd like to think we both agree there certainly is,
Yes.
there has to be an equal and opposite force, which is good. And I would like to think of that as God. Even the idea of God as a notion, even just as a concept, if that idea of God resists evil, then God is real. If you have two islands, you have two people, let's say a ship crashes, and you have two people who swim to two different islands. On one island, they're atheists, savages, and they rip you apart. And the other island, you get there, and they believe in God, and they believe they're not allowed to kill you. Even just their idea of God, God saved your life. So I think even just the concept of God in and of itself, if enough people believe it makes them do good, then God must be true, and that's the equal and opposite force of the evil of the world. And this is how I view it. So I don't see how anybody with a conscience can not believe in God.
That's such a profoundly different worldview from the one that we're presented with, I think. That, do you think that's maybe the division in the West between people who see those forces at work and those who don't?
I think the West is actually split between people who think and people who don't think at all. I think the people, there's no such thing as these two opposing worldviews. I think people believe there's worldview A and worldview B. I disagree with that. I think there's worldview A, the good guys, which are primarily people who do believe in God, do have parameters, do believe in standards, do believe in self-respect, do know how to say no. And there's worldview B, which changes day by day, based on what they're told, which means they have no real worldview at all. They just repeat. And they have no standards and they have no parameters. There's nothing you can tell them that will make them wake up and go, that's wrong, because they have no inherent morality. So you can literally, you could say bestiality is accepted and encouraged now. It's good for you because for climate change. And they'll sit there and go, oh, climate change, well, off we go. And they'll just do it. So I think you have a camp of people who think, and you have a camp of people who repeat. And I don't think there's actually the opposing side to the good, I don't think function as thinking populace at all. I think they simply don't.
It feels like the conflict between those two groups is getting more intense.
It's certainly getting more intense, and it was interesting for me because, and I want to be an optimist, but I lost so much faith in humanity during COVID. If you would have told me how COVID would have gone down before COVID, I'd say no way. We're not that bad. I thought the people aren't that dumb. But when I experienced COVID, it's actually scary. You see how the Nazis managed to do what they did. You see how they managed to put people in concentration camps. You see it. And I had a very unique view of COVID because in the first days of COVID, when people were falling over in China and the Italian hospitals were overrun, at the height of the panic, when most people believed, because it was the very beginning, early stages, my brother and I had a very logical conversation. He said, we're two military-aged men in very good physical condition. If we die of this, the world's over. If it can kill us, it's zombie apocalypse. So why are we going to live in fear? So we found the only two countries that were open, which were Sweden and Belarus. We had just been to Belarus. This is before the Ukraine war. We decided to try Sweden. So for the first 3 months of COVID, during the height of lockdowns, when Florida was closed, when it was absolute,
I remember.
Yeah, when it was the craziest lockdowns globally. Me and Tristan are in Sweden in absolute freedom. They had no restrictions, no masks, no vaccine passports, no social distancing, nightclubs are full, restaurants are open, perfectly complete normal society. Nobody talks about this anymore. Nobody talks about, wait, Sweden never did a thing. Everything functioned perfectly fine the entire time. And they don't have it. Where's their illness of their winter of severe illness and death?
Yes.
They never had one. It's a cold country, never had one. So we were living in Sweden, living completely normal lives, seeing the internet and seeing this insanity. And we're like, well, surely if we just put up a few videos of us partying in Sweden in nightclubs, this will wake people up. People ignored their own eyes. That's the scariest thing about everything, is that they can get to a level where, with the media machine, where people will genuinely ignore their own eyes. I don't understand how you can get people so brainwashed that they will see that the sky is blue, and then they'll watch that the sky is green, and then they'll look at it again and go, the sky's green. It's crazy to me, but COVID proves they can do that. And that's why the war is getting so intense, because the principled people are saying, how can you still believe in the things that you're saying? Here is all the logical, empirical evidence that that is a lie. But these people are ideologically brainwashed, and they don't want to take enough of it. They don't have the bravery it takes to wake up and accept that they're being lied to. So they'd rather just, to the end of time, repeat what they're told. And it becomes more and more intense as it becomes more and more ridiculous. That's so scary. As it becomes more and more ridiculous, the more intense both sides get.
Yes.
Right? So what the future holds, I'm not entirely sure. But I like to believe, even my current charges, I found solace when I was in jail, that the thinking people are looking at this going, something like this doesn't seem right.
Well, I mean, it is a little bracing. I mean, when I discovered, I was sympathetic to you already, but a man's accused of human trafficking. It's worth finding out what he's accused of. And when I discovered that there was no actual human trafficking charge,
Yeah.
That's not actually human trafficking. I don't care what you call it.
Yep.
You weren't buying it, even accused of buying and selling anyone. Then the next conclusion you inevitably reach is they don't like the guy. They don't like his views. It's fine. They're going to send him to jail for that.
Yep.
That does seem like an escalation.
Absolutely, but if they don't like your views and you're inspiring millions of people to resist slave programming, you become a threat. Like, they discuss me.
But you can't send a guy to jail because you disagree with him.
You shouldn't. But even before I went to jail, the members of parliament in the UK were talking about me and what a dangerous role model I am for young boys. So they launched this initiative inside of British schools to ban me. My name can't be said inside of any British school. And members of parliament were standing up in parliament saying, Andrew Tate is dangerous. He's encouraging young boys to have misogynistic views, because I'm literally telling young men to go to the gym and to stand up for themselves and believe in themselves, believe in something. And by extension, you look at some of the sexual education books these children are being given, which I believe at age 9, I don't think a child needs to learn about anal sex or anything.
Probably not.
Yeah, probably not. So they're pushing that to the children, but I'm banned.
Well, they're also pushing weed in video games on boys.
Oh, completely. And you can listen to rap music about killing people all day long. And there's a whole, and Little Nas, he can have sex with the devil in his music videos. That's fine. But I'm dangerous for saying go to the gym. And once I realized what was scary to me is, I said this to my brother. I said, once the parliament's discussing you, you're basically considered a national security threat at this point. You're a threat to national security at that level. And then all bets are off, right?
What about the UK? So the UK has become more authoritarian than anywhere in the Persian Gulf.
Correct.
How did that happen?
Yeah, and it's, like I said, it's very interesting because people still, the people in Camp B who don't think, a lot of them believe that the law is fair. I've had people say to me, oh yeah, what they're doing to you is garbage. Well, you need a lawyer. Well, yeah, I do need a lawyer, and I do have a lawyer. Thank you. But it's not that simple, unfortunately. You know, the law is very subjective, and if they want to attack you with it, they're going to do a very good job of attacking you with it. And that's what the UK does. The UK have these laws which are extremely subjective, and they can use it as a weapon to basically silence anyone they decide.
But
or
why?
hurt anyone they decide.
England is the birthplace of free speech, of habeas corpus, of kind of framework of liberal democracy that we thought we believed in.
Yep.
And now it's a country where people are arrested for praying.
Well, what happened? Good question. And there's a saying that I heard, and I don't know who said it, but he said that a sick country adopts laws like a dying man will try medicine. And I think that the UK is failing in real time. If you look at it in any metric, whether it's living standards, whether it's crime rate, any metric you can measure the success of a country by, it's fallen off the cliff. It's becoming more and more expensive to live there. The education system's gone down the pan. London is the stabbing capital of the world. You're not safe to leave your house. So their answer to this is just more and more and more laws. And unfortunately, as they do that, they're not even intelligent enough to actually attack the people who are doing genuinely bad to the world. They just make more and more authoritarian laws, and they end up using them to attack the people that the government doesn't like. And I ended up being one of them. And I think Europe in general has problems. If you look at France as we speak, I think it's on fire, isn't it? Most of it?
It is.
Yeah. So they have issues, and their answer, what's a government's solution to anything? Law. What can a government do? No matter what.
But they're not laws that are aimed at fixing the problem that's right in front of them.
No, they're laws aimed at fixing the person who's talking about the problems. So why don't you get rid of the guy who tells everybody? Isn't that easier, Tucker? Why fix any of this? If we just shut him up, they won't know.
No, but that's like responding to a heat wave by breaking your thermometer.
Completely right. That's the plan.
It's insane.
Plan one is to break the thermometer. We might deal with the heat wave a bit later. But
Get air conditioning. No, let's break the thermometer.